over to Dazn important to you?
First of all, I'm going to stipulate I'm going to speak in Southern English. And if anybody doesn't understand, Chris will translate for me if you don't understand it. So we have a clear agenda at Dazn to bring fans the best fights, and to bring fans the best fights for an affordable subscription price. We're not going to be able to bring fans the best fights without Gennady Golovkin. And so he was a key element of our plan to be what he just said we were going to be, which is the premier destination for fight fans. And so there's very little question in my mind that this is a signing we needed to make. And I'm happy to hear that Gennady expects to fight 6 times, and I'm happy to hear that he is open to fighting more than 6 times if he's still fighting at the same high level. But we're thrilled. This is a great deal for us. We're very excited. Chris asked before about why this took so long. I had a chance to meet Gennady's wife, Elena. I had a chance to see his new son. This took a long time because this is a lifetime decision. This is a moment in boxing where I think things are changing, and I think what we're going to be able to do is going to bring the best fights back to fans, and Gennady wanted to be a part of that. But it was complicated, and it's a decision he's making about his life. Those kinds of decisions take time and consideration, and we were happy to have that time and consideration.
I certainly, John, don't want to minimize what Canelo is going to have to face in Danny Jacobs in May, a very competitive fight on May 4th. But is everybody on board with a Canelo Golovkin 3rd fight in the fall if things go the way they could go?
I'll answer this not in Southern English, but in artful rhetoric, and that is that our intention is to bring fans the best fights and the fights that they most want to see. A 3rd fight between Gennady and Canelo is a fight that fans want to see. This is the artful part, but we are focused right now on the fight in May the 4th with Canelo and Danny Jacobs. Danny Jacobs also happens to be a Dazn fighter, and we're focused on the fight that Gennady will have in June, which we also expect to be a difficult fight because he's only interested in fighting appropriate opponents. So we're going to focus on those fights and then see what happens.
Gennady, you've accomplished a lot in your professional career. You've been a unified middleweight champion, made a lot of title defenses. As you kind of begin a new chapter, what do you want out of the rest of your career?
Вы знаете, я имел огромный опыт после моих последних боев. Я думаю, что один из продолжений в моей карьере, я считаю, что я могу разделить и дать возможность своим ребятам, кто будет с Triple G Promotions, развиваться и делиться опытом с ними все так же. То есть я смогу дать им, поделиться с ними тем опытом, который я имею, и благодаря Dazn мы сможем сделать самые интересные бои. То есть в боксе, так как бокс сейчас полностью переходит, все самые интересные бои находятся, я думаю, на платформе Dazn, мы сможем сделать самые интересные бои.
I gained a lot of experience in my last years of my career, and now what I want to do, I want to share this experience with the boys, with fighters who will be working with me on the Triple G Promotions. And I think with Dazn we find the right platform to bring the most interesting fights which are in boxing right now.
But as a fighter, you once wanted to completely unify the division. Is that still a goal for you?
В данный момент многие же понимают, что существует столько много политики для объединения, и не все лучшие боксеры, кто имеет даже все пояса, являются лучшими. Цель другая, цель быть лучшим в мире, а не иметь уже все пояса. То есть, и имея все пояса, это не говорят, что ты лучше.
people understand right now there is a lot of politics about all these belts, etc. The idea is not to have all the belts possible, but the idea is to be the best boxer, and sometimes those people who have belts are not the best boxers.
As you mentioned, Gennady, you had other options when you were choosing what's next for you. How important was a third fight with Canelo to you when you were making this decision?
Конечно, это очень важно для меня, это очень важный пункт был для меня, но в данный момент мы хотим иметь самые большие бои, мы хотим иметь самые интересные бои, мы хотим быть именно на вершине боксерского мира. То есть это неотъемлемая часть того, чего я хочу.
Well, of course, this was a very important point for me, this fight with Canelo. But right now, what we want to do, we want to have the most important fights in boxing. You know, many different important fights. That's what I want to do right now.
You'll be 37 next month, about a month away. How are you? Compare how you're feeling physically now to how you felt 7 years ago when you made your debut in the U.S.
Я не могу ответить сейчас, потому что в регулярной жизни я чувствую себя очень здорово и великолепно. Я думаю, я вернусь назад в свой тренинг-кэмп, и на этот вопрос, скорее всего, ответит Эбо, как я себя буду чувствовать, потому что я себя чувствую всегда великолепно.
Well, I can't really answer it because I feel like in my normalized day-to-day life I feel great, but I soon will go to my training camp, and then probably Abel will be able to answer this question too. But now I feel fine. Right?
Let's turn to Abel then. Nobody has a better view of Gennady than you over the last 7 years. 7 years ago, close to it, he was out in Verona fighting for the first time in the United States. How different is that fighter from the one we see today?
Youthful and exuberant back then, now more experienced, more stealth, I guess, he's thinking more about the things he does. But the great part about him is he's always was then and is now very professional. He's probably 12, 13 pounds over his weight right now, so when he comes into camp, he's not abusing his body. We're working on technical things and not so much on trying to lose weight, so it's important that he doesn't age that way.
So you've seen fighters and worked with fighters that have aged, and you've seen it noticeable. Have you seen any erosion in Gennady physically, skill-wise in the ring?
I can only gauge it by what happens in the fights. And to this date, there hasn't been anybody that's dominated him in a fight or in the gym. So I would say no. I would say he's fighting at the top level, and nobody's had it over on him, as in some of the other fighters that have fought later in later years. So I imagine there is, but until somebody proves it to me in the ring, I have to say no.